Drew, congratulations on Desperate Riders. I love westerns, so you got me already. But do you think this generation understands westerns?
I think they're starting to. I mean, the success of Yellowstone kind of proves that it's been missing for a while, and there's nothing sugar-coated about Yellowstone. It has all the aspects. It's just set in modern time, but that is, to me, that's a western. It's Taylor's doing an amazing job with that show, and then to go back into the period piece of 1883. It just shows the success of those two has sparked a whole new interest of wanting more of this genre and seeing more of it. So luckily we were right place, right time with this one, and we're excited about it.
When you shot Desperate Riders, was it during the pandemic?
When did we shoot? February of last year. So yeah, it wasn't in the heart of it, no, but it was in the mix of it. It was we still had to do the testing every 72 hours. We were doing testing on it and stuff, and we are doing boundaries and masks against it. But the great thing about a western is most of it's outside, and so you're not locked in somewhere. You're on a horse, usually 10 or 12 feet away from each other. So
well, a good shootout is always good. So the thing about a western to me is always it's just such a simple and wonderful done plot where you know who the good guy is, you know who the bad guy is, and you wait for that big scene toward the end. And this does not disappoint. This has all that.
Well, thank you. I like to tell everybody, one of my favorite westerns is Unforgiven. Wow. And I think you could look at Clint Eastwood in every different way you want to as a character: good guy, bad guy, misunderstood, lost soul, whatever you want. But you don't know at the end. I mean, he's a very misunderstood, broken man is what I come across. I get out of his character and stuff. And when I got the opportunity, I started reading Desperate Riders. I kind of felt that within Kansas. It was like, okay, this guy starts out very lost. What's his backstory? Where does he come from? Why is he this guy? And so me being in love with Clint Eastwood and his westerns, I just started going, well, maybe I just feather a little bit, in there.
Well, I mean, it is a story of redemption and reclamation and all, but it's done in just a great way. I mean, it's such a tip of the hat to the westerns of the 50s and 60s as well. Now, you being a stuntman, in your past, you know how to ride a horse, you know how to handle weapons. Were you teaching the other actors how to do those things?
Well, we had a great armory on set. That's the one thing. It's safety first on all these sets when we're on it. And luckily the production company and Michael Pfeiffer, director, they believe in that as well. And so first and foremost, it's not my job. My job as an actor, but it is, it's the understanding of it. And so it's always when you're dealing with horses, and when I'm dealing with horses, because I've done 15 westerns now and stuff, and I've been riding since 12 years old, and I've been shooting, I'm ex-military, I know how to handle guns and weaponry. But it's not my job to do that. That's theirs. And I never break down the chain of command. And so it's always responsible and important to keep the chain of command going. And so if there's a question, instead of me taking the chance of answering it and not being the way the armory wants to, because it's his weaponry and then the horse wrangler, their horses, I just turn it over. That's why they're there, and I stick to now if I see something that I don't like, I always shut it down. I'm like, stop. And then I'll go tell somebody off and come in. But I don't get in that world.
The other hat that you've worn is a director's hat. And so will you be going back to directing more and more?
Yeah. I actually just finished up a couple more projects, and we have another one in the works this summer. So I'm excited about it. It's been a new 2014. We wrote a script and opened up our production company, and in 2016 we took our film theatrically, and we did everything in house. And so from the creative concept of it to the end nuts, but I directed it, and I just fell in love with it. and I got to work with some incredible casts, Terry O'Quinn and Irma P. Hall and Bill Cobbs and all those, right?
Terry is just fantastic. I've known Terry for a while, and he's just such a dedicated actor.
Loved him. He knew more about that character, and I wrote the character. He knew more about that character's life than I did, and it was. I mean, I was like, wow. But it's something. I think it's the best of both worlds. I love acting because I love the creativity and I love creating and portraying characters. But directing, you're telling the story, and so you get to work with the actors and help guide them when they need it and stuff. But the majority of the time, you cast well and you step aside and you direct the story and you understand the ins and outs and how it's going to come in this way from that way. And you work. It's a collective thing. You're working with your distribution, or you're working with your the DPs. You're working with lighting, sound, everybody. It's just such a collective thing.
In our final moments we have, and by the way, thank you for your time this morning. What do you think audiences are going to take away from Desperate Riders?
I mean, overall, I think I hope that they see not an evil person in Kansas Red, but a lost soul that is chasing down redemption, that always gets stuck in a bad spot, but yet has a big heart, and at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing about life is hold on to love. I think the one thing Red does well is he holds on to love, which hence is the ending. So it's like he's not dead to it. So,
well, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and hope we catch up on the next one.
Absolutely, Tony, would love to.
Take care.
You guys go see it February 25th. It's out
in theaters, and I think it's streaming on February 25th as well.
It is on demand in select theaters, and in April 5th, it'll be out on all platforms.
And see it in the theater because it's a Western. It's got those vistas. It's just beautifully shot.
That's the best way to see all great movies, man. Just see them in the theater.